to her and just kind of asked, because whenever we're on the way to work, or most of us work or driving multiple places throughout the day, you're driving to and from school bus safety. With schools coming back in session right now, school bus safety is of high importance, especially when you're out on the roadways. And so I reached out to my friend Anna just to ask a few things like, what are the biggest things that have happened to you that, you know, have made you mad or made you upset while you were out driving the school bus? She said the hardest thing about a school bus is the blind spots. People want to ride in your blind spots all the time while you're driving down the road. She said it's very hard to see. Anna's a little bit short, and so it's really hard for her to look around and everything like that. She said, you know, people get a misconception that school buses a lot of times are not safe. School buses are one of the safest vehicles that you can travel into. If you have children that ride a bus, please know that your kids are safe. But one of the things that she said is just to remind people, if the lights are flashing, don't pass. If it's a yellow light, that means the bus is getting ready to stop. If the red lights are flashing, the bus is completely stopped, and at that time you should not pass, because kids are either getting on the bus or offloading off the bus. If you have a divided highway and you're on the other side of the divided highway, you are free to pass and go and keep going. But if you are on the same side as that school bus, you should stop. If there's not a divided highway, you should stop. If it's a 2-lane road, 3-lane road, whatever, you should stop. Some of the things that's happened to her, she's had people pull up behind her and actually beat the horn at her, trying to get her to hurry up while kids were getting on the bus. She's also been on the 2-lane road where traffic was stopped on the other side. She's had a car go past her in the ditch while kids were getting off the bus before. And so it's crazy. You wouldn't think that people do it. Just a reminder, in every state, it is against the law to pass a school bus. In North Carolina, currently, there's a $500 fine, and you get 5 points on your driver's license. So definitely be careful, especially whenever you're driving first thing in the morning on the way to work. Especially whenever it's dark. It's getting darker earlier now. And so just be careful on your way to work and on the way home. At this time, we're going to do self-introductions. We'll start up here and we'll go around the room. Again, my name is Chase Gibson. I'm with the City of Kings Mountain Natural Gas.
Rob Murphy with Onwassa.
I'm Lindsay Ponce with Sam.
Rod Russell, City of Wilmington, Construction Manager.
Jerry Hammond, City of Wilmington, right away.
Mark Worth, Dominion Energy.
Randy Johnson, Premier.
Pat Sharp, Premier.
Tim Barefoot, SR&R Environment. Sean Kelly, Badger Daylighting.
Tim Yorbro, Ansco.
Jason Stover, Dominion Energy.
Sherry Jones on Watson.
Chris Russ, USIC. Louis Panzer, North Carolina, 811.
Mike Page, USIC.
Tatum Ledford, USIC.
Tony Walker, USIC.
Riley Neighbor, Natural Gas.
Randy Wright, Piping Technologies.
Dave McCoy, DSI.
Chris Mason, inside.
Ricky Johnson, DSI.
Hey, Osborne, City Shaw. Keith Coster, Pressure Incorporated.
Jay Taylor, City of West.
Scott Sherrill, Hyper Networks. Lucas Strand, Hyper Networks. Ryan Smith, Piedmont Natural Gas.
Riley Charles, Champion. Matt Parsons, Living Technologies.
Bridget Herring, State Center.
Jason Bates, City of Wilmington.
Philip Phipps, City of Wilmington.
Good deal.
And
And Rushing, North Carolina, 811. Sorry, I wasn't sure if everybody got
You're good.
got
You're
to
good.
mention. For those online, I lifted up the camera a little bit. Is that too high?
Looks fine to me.
Okay,
Yeah, that's perfect.
Looks
Okay.
good.
just want to make sure I didn't cut the bodies off. Okay, great.
At this time, we'll do officers' reports. As far as the chair report goes, I'll just cover mine under the new business section. If you have any additional reports. Lindsay? Yep. As far as Sandra's report goes, she is not here. And so we will definitely get some feedback from her at November's meeting, but as far as the treasury report goes right now, there are no outstanding balances or invoices. We will have to pay a down payment to our conference location, which I'll announce here shortly. But other than that, we don't have any outstanding invoices or balances. But, I did skip over something. We need to go back. I'm so sorry. We need to make a approval of the agenda for this meeting. And I did mess up on the agenda underneath the officers report section. I listed Ronnie and Haber as the secretary and Lindsay as the treasurer. Lindsay, you should be the secretary, and Sandra Johnson is still the treasurer. Correct. And corrected report.
I corrected it.
Thank you. But at this time, can we get an approval for the agenda for this meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Tim Yarborough. Those things. All right, at this time, we're going to move on down to the old business. If you would like to go over the previous meeting minutes, you can go to our UCC website. There we have a recorded video. You can go on there and you can watch it. Right now, we're still doing hybrid meetings, allowing people to join us if they're not able to make it. And so that's how our notes are being taken right now. So any additional notes or anything like that, you can go to the website and grab those. Under the new business section, first off, we're going to welcome Lindsay Ponce. Thank you so much for joining our team. We're excited to have you and really looking forward to what you're going to do with this team and lead us in the future. So thank you. On to the 2023 NCSC UCC conference update. At this time, Ralph Murphy, our co-chair, has signed the contract, and we will be having our 2023 conference at Harris Cherokee Casino, and it'll be May 3rd through May 5th, 2023. It's going to be awesome. We had a great turnout the last time we hosted a conference up there. And it's going to be even better this time. We're going to be able to bring in more vendors. We've got a huge space, brand new conference facility. We're all going to be located in one tower, and it's going to be awesome. Very cool. We went up a couple months ago and we're able to tour and kind of look over the new facility, and it's going to be great. The golf will be off-site from Cherokee. It'll be at Sequoia National on Wednesday. We're still working out some details with golf, but we should have transportation to and from Cherokee Hotel. Ride the bus over golf if you're interested in doing that. And there will be an additional charge for golf, but the golf course is just beautiful. If you can't hit them straight, please bring a bunch of balls because you will need them. So, but once golf is done, there will be a lunch provided during golf, but once golf is done, you'll be able to load back up on the bus and the bus will take us safely back to Cherokee. So, and that night we'll have a reception and then the conference will actually start on Thursday. So we're looking forward to that. Anybody have anything to add on the conference? Anybody from the conference committee?
Locator change.
Yes, locator training will be offered as well. And so if you would be interested in locator training, or if someone from your facility would be interested in locator training, we will be offering locator training. All right. Anybody have any questions about the conference or anything?
Hey, Chase, on the locator training, is there going to be a cap like there was before? Is there?
That's what we're trying to work through right now. Eric really wants to keep it below 40 if he can, but we're trying to figure out whether we need to host a multiple day, for other people to join in. Really what the person would like to do that's hosting our locator training for us, he'd really like to do an in-session inside, and then the next day follow it up with outside training, hands-on, things like that. But we're not opposed to breaking that up if we need to extend it to more than 40 people. Other than that, moving on, we had a conference call. Tim Yarborough, Jason Stover, myself, we're on a conference call to kind of plan for future events and see if it was even possible. And we're exploring the option of a tri-state conference involving Georgia and bringing them in. And so we had a conference call and talked for a while, and And we had some great feedback. As of right now, we're not moving towards the tri-state conference. We're just trying to find out some information, how we would be able to do that successfully. One of the big things that we're running into is just places to be able to hold it. Georgia has plenty of places that can hold many people. And if we did have a tri-state conference, we're looking at somewhere between like 450 people and 500 people. It would be great for vendors from all three states to be able to meet new people, to network with people, and possibly be able to get more business from 3 different states. But in North Carolina, we only have one place that can host it, which is actually Cherokee. We have enough room in Cherokee to be able to host it. South Carolina, they were having some issues trying to find a place that would host that many people. And again, Georgia has plenty. But one of the things that we're looking forward to is just finding out information from them about Georgia, how they do their conference, so that way we can learn from them and better do our conference as well. And they're learning from us, and hopefully at our conference, we'll have some representatives from Georgia, from the UCCs, as well as Georgia 811 personnel to come up and view our conference and be able to talk to them and show them how we do it, and really put on North Carolina on the showcase as well. So we're looking forward to that. Moving on towards the open discussion, we're going to discuss future meeting locations for 2023. To finish out this year for 2022, we're kind of looking at Indian Trail or Asheville, North Carolina. That's the reason why we put a TBA. We're trying to work everything out in advance, and it just hasn't came together yet. So just please stay tuned to the invite that Ann will be sending out through 811 constant contact. Again, which is why we need your email on the sign-in sheet. If you didn't put your email, please make sure you did put it down. So that way we can better reach you and give you an update on the meetings coming soon. Once we meet in November, we'll have an updated agenda that will announce where our future locations are at. But just to go over it real quick, next January, more than likely we'll be in Greensboro at NC 811. In March's meeting, we usually host that in Raleigh. Sandra Johnson organizes that. We'll be at Dominion's location in Raleigh. May is usually our joint conference, whether we host or South Carolina hosts. Our May meeting takes place at the conference. So we will be having a very short meeting at our conference. It's usually after the general session on Thursday. It doesn't take long, but we just meet, and that fulfills our meeting. September, we'll be back in Wilmington again. Does everybody like this location? Is that good for everybody?
You skipped July.
Oh, July, thank you so much. July, we're actively looking for location for July. So that was the big one. There's a possibility of Concord in July. We've talked about it, but we'll be reaching out to hopefully find a new place for next July. Moving on, we'll go to our report section. Anyone from NCDOT here today? Anybody online from DOT? All right, at this time, we'll move forward to the NC 811 update.
All right. Good morning. Good to see all your smiling faces. Doesn't it feel good to be back together? Woohoo. Everybody looks a little sleepy this morning. Do we need to do the 30 for 30 down?
No.
Everybody looks sleepy. Chris, wake up. You okay? Yeah, no coffee, right? Great. Well, everybody that's online, if you have not populated your information, please do so that we can document that. And once again, we want to thank you for the opportunity to be here. This is our state UCC. Okay, so we are very fortunate today to have Lewis with us in the house. And so Lewis, I'm going to let you kind of take this and roll with it, and then I'll take it from you.
All right. All right. So the first bullet point here is just another way that we thought of to try to explain 811 what we do to others, because inevitably we get roped into stories about you marked my lawn, you didn't locate this, your folks, blah, blah, blah. And so the way that we really, one of the ways to explain it is basically it's like a relay race. Somebody hands us one baton, which is the ticket information. We hand out roughly 5 batons to different people and they go off. Now we have no idea who's going to finish first, who's going to finish period, who's going to go off to the side, drink some water. We don't know any of that information. All we're doing is handing it off. Now we do get positive response information back from those folks. And we do share that, and the law does require that the excavators check that information. But as far as NC 811's direct role in these locates, we basically don't have one. Our role is to try to get the best information we can about that excavation and pass it on. That means also that even though we have size requirements, we depend on those people that are creating the tickets to limit their scope to what the law says. So the 5 addresses or quarter mile, whichever's less. If somebody reaches out to us, which I have somebody who's done that already today, and said, hey, we've got an issue with somebody that's calling in longer or larger areas. If they're a web ticket user, remote ticket entry, we will reach out to them and counsel them and let them understand what they need to do. We have the ability to shut down a web user if they're continuing to basically violate those rules. And, you know, we explain it when it's a phone conversation, what the limitations are. So, but our role is really limited to this communication hub, essentially between the excavation and the locators. Any questions about that? I'm pretty sure everybody understands our role here. It's usually some folks that don't normally attend UCCs, but I figured I'd put it out here. The DIRT report, it's expected to really actually release the beginning of October, just prior to the CGA meetings that are going to take place in San Antonio. The emphasis on this report is going to be trending the previous years with this year versus trying to actually crystal ball how many true national damages there are. I think there's a lot of problems with that. It's very difficult to try to get a handle on that. But what we can do is look at the historical trending of high quality data damage providers to the system and then look to see. And it looks as if over the course of last year, damages did go up slightly as a trend. I mean, this is something that we've seen nationally. But again, that report's going to be released. I'm certain that CGA is going to hold a virtual town hall discussion of the results. And as soon as that's released, we'll definitely send out a notification as well, let people know about it. Board nominations for NC 811, those have been sent out. These are calls for nomination. So they list the people who are running for seats at this point. If you want to nominate someone for one of those open slots, that's something we sent out to the entire membership. So you either receive that or somebody in your organization has it. We did make an offer which was accepted to Tyler Ross. He's going to be replacing Brian in the Western region. We're looking forward to that. He's actually going to start in October. So I'm going to handle the one in Cherokee, and I think the one in Silva that happens right before that. Yeah, save it because we're going to get him oriented that day and get him into a vehicle and get him moving along. We're excited about it. He's excited. And we think it's going to be a good fit for us. So, yeah. Our first choice passed us up. That would be, yeah. And other than that, we'll say that hey, fall's on the way, you can feel it, which is awesome. So I just don't like the summer. But fall's happening. That means fall planting. That means you'll see some more homeowner type tickets as well coming in for that. As well as all the fiber work and everything else that continues to roll. So stay cool, stay safe. And those are my few words.
All right, well, hold on. If you would like, roll one. You want to speak on our
Okay,
question?
sure. So every year PHMSA does an audit of the states. They look at the enforcement program. And they conduct an interview with someone in the state. It's usually someone from the Utilities Commission and or myself. And basically they have a list of questions. They want to know the number of damages. They want to know how many damages resulted in an enforcement action. And they're looking at those kinds of things in parity to see if it's fair and balanced and meets all their requirements. I'm happy to say that we were deemed adequate this year. And we've been that way now for, I think this is the 9th year since we started enforcement in the state. So we received this letter and it does show that we are adequate. It will be reflected in PHMSA's information. So greatly appreciative of the gas companies who provided that information to us to be able to supply to PHMSA. I will say that as far as the grants go, we've been deemed ineligible in North Carolina this year, specifically because of a named exemption for DOT activities. It's not the activities they have a problem with in the law, the maintenance activities, it's the naming of a state or municipal entity. So that's where PHMSA caught up with us, I guess you'd say. We've received grants the last 2 years. The law hasn't changed since 2019, but in that change, it was meant to actually tighten it so that it wasn't extended to contractors. But in the eyes of PHMSA, because it names it, they took away that grant eligibility for this year. So if the law does open up at some point, that is something that we know how to fix. And that result, if that time does come.
Okay, so we added this slide this month because it appears that a lot of questions are coming up once again about reporting of the damages. And as Lewis had mentioned, he is part of that data committee that once those damages are reported, it does go up to CGA, and then, we're going to have those numbers come out. But within our law, it's really important if there is a product release, number one, always report that to 911. Number two, report that to the facility owner. The thing that we've seen is some were reporting it to NC 811, thinking that when we sent out those notifications, that kind of met the intent to the facility owner, and it really doesn't. So just as a reminder, we do provide you those resources in your toolbox. If you'll open up your app, you'll see a button that says damage notification. You can click down on your county, find all the members in that county, and then all the information they've given us for the contact, it's in there. So you can reach your facility owners quickly, efficiently, and it's also on our website as well. So who do we call first if a product release? 911. All right, now you've been given the 411, right, on 911, and then we want you to 811. Okay, then second, facility owner, and then once you report it to us, then we are going to send out that notification, and then we obviously keep up with the list of all those damages.
Does product release also include high voltage lines?
Anything that you deem a product release, absolutely. I would say if you're going to need 911 there, absolutely. Okay, so once again, I'm going to let Lewis talk a little bit about locator logics, but we are excited about this new piece of software. I know we had some conversation with Chase a little bit. So how many folks in here are using WebTMS? We have a wonderful new solution for you. So I'm going to turn it over to Lewis.
This is I don't want to say it's a good news, bad news scenario, but for many, many years, we've been giving away WebTMS in the state of North Carolina, meaning that we've been paying for it and distributing it, training, using our member services team and everything to do that. They are phasing out Web TMS as of October 1 of next year. So we have a 13-month lead time on this. We wanted to make sure everybody was educated about the fact that Web TMS will be discontinued end of life at that time. In the meantime, between now and then, we wanted to notify folks that there is this option available. There is a fee associated with it, but it's completely managed by Northfield, meaning the training, the deliverables, everything all comes from Northfield. I know that we sent out a notice to all the membership that included links to some opportunities to see demos essentially online, to have questions answered about the product. And we also are, every month, we will be reminding WebTMS users in a pop-up that the clock is ticking, so that they have opportunities to go and, determine what they want to do as of October 1, 2023. So, but yes, we're excited about it as well. A lot of people signing up on it. I want to say there's like 70 or 80 that have signed up onto it, companies, since it was released in April. So you can go there and see the information and request a demo if you want.
So as Lewis mentioned, I mean, you'll see some of the photos here. There's a lot of great reporting. There's the ability to attach photos. There's some analysis for risk assessment. So it's a really great product, and we're excited to have it. When Lewis said, hey, you have till October of next year, well, that for those smaller entities like the municipalities, they have time to manage and budget for this. Obviously, their budgets are running from July 1 to June 30th, so this will give you opportunity. So I would highly encourage you, go out, look at it, test run it. If Northfield has not reached out to you, reach out to them. The sooner I think you get your eyes on it and kind of get an idea of what you want to do, the better. But we're super excited about that. And then the other question, as Lewis said, we're out of the mix of it. NC 811, your facilitator, if you're a member, will not be supporting this software for you. It will be Northfield. So they're going to be your go-to. Don't panic. I promise you're going to get great customer service the same way we provide you on the Web TMS.
Our administrative assistant actually reached out to Northfield last week, and the customer service representative from Northfield had wrote her back and even called her within a 15-minute span, and she was very helpful. We're trying to get ahead of the game because, as you said, being a
You want to know
municipality,
how
we
to
definitely want to
budget
get
for it.
ahead of it.
One thing I'll add to this too, the Logix piece of this is it's a suite of products. So Locator Logix is the first one that they released, but by the end of the year, they're going to be releasing Dig Logix, which is for the excavators themselves to manage their tickets and positive responses and everything else. And there's a plug-in piece that we're going to be adding in. By the time we have another one of these meetings, it should already be in place. It's called GeoLogix, and it essentially replaces the mapping inside of anybody who's using RTE and our folks. It's a much more streamlined, faster, more Google-esque, I guess would be the best way to say it. Familiarity with the maps will be something people are more used to. Less tools, but much more power, much faster, which also should cut down on the time it takes to even create tickets. So we're excited about that also.
So we want you to plan for it, but at the end of the day, if you find that you just can't make it happen, you still have the ability to receive your tickets. You'll still be able to get them, but you won't be able to receive it in a management system such as this. You'll receive it and then you'll do your positive response. So you'll still be able to participate, but just not through a Locator Logix. All right. August the 11th, it seems like a long time ago, right? Here we are already into September, and it's been a month already. I do want to give you kind of some of the highlights we did for August the 11th. A video here for you. We were pretty busy that day. We had a lot of things going on. As you see here, we had our mini-X, and we had it out at the Gastonia Honey Hunters. Dominion Energy supports that sponsorship with NC 811. Thanks to you guys. Jason was there. This is a great tool that we have in our arsenal now to educate. And so if you decide you want to, everybody stand up and stretch. If anybody would like use of this, please let us know. Durham Bulls, we were out with Piedmont. We went to a baseball game and then we wound it up that weekend with Bowman Gray, Piedmont Natural Gas. Great day out there as well. We had several interviews, lots of good PR. Keith Napier was on one of our interviews. Lewis, myself, we did some radio interviews. We gave out water to our excavators. We're at Paradigm, lots of social media. So it was a great day. Great day for 811. Everybody stretch, everybody feel good. All right. So here we are, we're moving into fall and football is kicking up. Safety Sam, we're going to be out at the NC State football game, October the 27th. One of the items that we've ordered, if I know most of you folks go to events, you know, you have to have those clear little bags to take with you. Well, we'll be giving some of those out. So please let us know if you're interested in one of those. We will hand those out at the fan zone. And then just want to remind you, if you're not following our Safe Digging Sports Facebook page, this Facebook page is really dedicated to a lot of the sporting events that we support and follow. Racing, one of them. I actually did one of my first podcasts on the racing aspect. Brian had kind of handled that in the past, so I've taken it over. And just for your info, Brian is now with Virginia 811. And this Facebook page, we do kind of share with Virginia. So we're going to be sharing information from Virginia and North Carolina. And hey, if you've got any great information you want us to share out on there, let us know. And if you have some great ideas for some podcasts, let us know as well. So I was able to interview a young man. Well, I say a young man, he's an older gentleman, but he iRaces. We do have a big iRacing division. Is everybody familiar with iRacing? iRacing. So just quickly, back when COVID hit, you know, when NASCAR kind of shut down, a lot of the NASCAR drivers were getting their practice through the iRacing. So it really brought a spotlight to iRacing. And so we've been supporting that now for the last 2 years. A lot of great action. Get online, watch it. We do support a league called Sim 500. And we've got a lot of great racers in there that do share the 811 message. Not only there, but they race in a lot of different leagues. So we do have one guy we do support. We call him the Faster Pastor because he is a preacher and he's really good and he races 7 days a week. And so in between preaching, right? So anyway, he's preaching the message of 811 for us. So keep a lookout for that. All right, so we'll jump right into our data insights. We've this is our second month. We decided to kind of flip around and give you guys a little bit different visual on our locate request here in North Carolina, just so you can kind of see a bar chart. But where we're at, we are up 13.8% for the August numbers compared to the same time last year. So where we ended up at, we're at 239,263 locates this past August compared to 210,000 from the August before. So where does that leave us? We're at 6.6% increase, and we are currently at 1,683,000 locates compared to 1,578,000 same time last year. We are definitely going to knock it out of the ballpark again this year. So any questions on the numbers? I know you guys are extremely busy. I look forward to hearing about all the projects. But as Lewis kind of talked about the baton, you know, so when that one locate gets handed off, then the batons start running. And so that becomes the transmissions. Right now, we're at an average of about 5.4 transmissions for every locate. Currently in August, we were up on the transmissions 9.5% compared to the same time last year. Right now, we're at 1,272,985 transmissions for the month of August. Lots and lots of transmissions going out. So what does that mean? Lots and lots of money being spent on locates and transmissions. So we work really hard with the LRPC, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later, to try to reduce some of this volume. So 3.0%, so 3% increase compared to the same time last year. And where are we already? 9 million transmissions, 9,084,000. Last year, we were almost up to 13 million. We're going to reach it, absolutely. And then last year, we were 8,821,000 at the same time. So it's definitely a busy year. Lots, of projects on the horizon, but, certainly working together, hopefully we can help that. Once we, a couple months ago, we started looking at the damage reporting, and Lewis thought this would be a great idea to break down the monthly damages. So we would give you numbers, but now you can kind of correlate, well, where's all of this happening around the state? And I just highlighted our top two, Mecklenburg and Wake, and those kind of tend to toggle back and forth depending. Some months, Mecklenburg's higher, some months Wake is higher, but for August, Wake was, and you can continue to see, where some of those damages are reported. Now, are they all reported? Absolutely not. That's what we want to encourage, because on many fronts, that data is used to trend to see what's going on. And then for me, I look at the top 10 and I determine if the top 10 counties have the highest damages, that's where we really need to focus a lot of our education, a lot of our marketing. And so this information is very valuable for us as far as NCA 11. Guilford County, they're still high up on the list. Durham, high up on the list. There's a lot of work going on all around the state. So once again, please, if you see anyone damaging, or if you're damaging your own facilities, that's a big one right there. It's not getting reported, and we really want you to report. If you're working on your own facilities, it's still a damage, you still need to report it. All right. Okay, so let's give you a few dates that you need to throw out on your calendar. Our next Underground Damage Prevention Review Board meeting is going to be October the 18th. It will be held in the event center. I think through the end of the year, it was determined that it would just be the members on site. And then hopefully, next year we can open it up more to the public. But there is a dial-in number that you can hop on with that. I think the last meeting we had 19 cases. Does that sound right, Chris? 19 cases. One of the items that we're seeing coming out of the complaints are ground rods being driven by electricians. Just remember that does require a ticket. So just want to highlight that. If you are making complaints, please tell your story. We need good photos. We're only reviewing what is being sent to us. So just want to remind you there that it is a complaint driven enforcement. So in order for us to review that on the review board, you have to make the complaint. So state UCC meeting, of course, we're here today. And then our next LRPC, Locate Resolution Partnership. I think even when we were looking at numbers, we're still at about 30%. And it just kind of toggles back and forth. Last month, we ended up with 30.55% of all the tickets that come in are update tickets. We have worked, gosh, how many years now? 4 or 5 years? I don't know. I'm beginning to bang my head against the wall. It's so important, as Lewis is talking about, do your part. Once that baton gets handed off to you, do your part. What can you do to reduce that noise in the system? Our homeowner volume will begin to tick up. It's that time of the year, but last month of all the tickets, 5.44% of all those tickets were coming from homeowners. So we're now beginning to see some of those homeowners getting back out in their yards. And then what we like to look at is, how many folks are using all of our links, as far as the website, RTE, and that is 75.52%. So what does that mean overall? That means that we can try to really hone in, keep those costs down for our members. You know, if we can have less bodies, that means better cost savings. I mean, there's just many, many different things. But at the end of the day, it is a great convenience for you and it's a resource that you can utilize. We've got our app. You can do your tickets through the app. You can update your tickets. So that's called Revise. So there's many different resources. And if you're not familiar, please let me know afterwards. I can help you download the app to your phone. All right, just a reminder. Yes. Yes, sir.
Is the 30% for updates considered high? Is there a target to try to?
We would love to see it drop significantly, but
So, yeah, and it varies by county
yes.
as well.
Mhm.
So some of them are much higher than that. And the issue on this is what we see is work that, you know, either was completed and is still being updated because there's a disconnect between the field. We see somewhere the work has not even started yet. They haven't received a permit, but they're trying to get the ball rolling with the ticket. Again, that's not really the purpose of it. So those are some of the things that we see happening. Is it high? You know, originally when we started tracking this closely, probably 10 years ago, we were running around 20%. And we felt that that was a little high, but it was really on par with what other states experience. But as it's creeping up, especially with this volume to 30%, there's absolutely noise going on there that doesn't need to be there. And then that's what we're really trying to get in front of is we're looking at the companies that are producing the majority of those. And we look at updates for where the work said the duration was going to take a day or less. They told us that that's how long the work was going to be, but it's been updated more than 2 times. So they've had 45 days to do a job that they said was going to take them 1 day. Somewhere there's a disconnect there. And so if we can find out what the process is, maybe it's, you know, how they're receiving the requests from somebody else, how those are being communicated, is the field letting them know the job's done, that kind of thing. So it's a tilting at windmills thing. We're constantly working on it. And that's what we have to do.
So to add on to Lewis, he created one report from the LRPC meeting. One of the items that we looked at was on updates. You know, at what day are people updating? Okay, so if you definitely need to update your ticket by day 12, then what about all those other days in between? So we're looking at, I think it was what, like day 4, that report, I think from day 4. And so we've got a list of folks that are just like on day 4 updating the ticket again. And so that's, you know, once again, yeah, a locator's got to respond. That's a transmission cost. It's taking that locator off of doing something that needs to be marked in. And so we're drilling down and looking at who are these folks that are doing this. I mean, it's not a huge list, but it's a list that makes a difference at the end of the day. So then we're reaching out to them and saying, hey, just want to educate you. You really don't need to be updating this ticket until you get closer. So,
or if it's a destroyed mark situation, it's a different kind, that's a different animal. So,
yeah.
You know, making sure people understand that there's different vehicles for different things and utilizing it correctly.
And understanding the verbiage too, because we get a lot of people receiving a 3-hour ticket and thinking it's an emergency. And it's 2 different beasts. Emergency is truly an emergency. When something's happened, you need an emergency ticket. 3-hour ticket is only when either the facilities have not been marked after the 3 working days or you see evidence of a facility. So just make sure you understand the difference in the tickets. And if you don't, we're happy to come in, educate your folks. If you need a tailgate meeting, happy to do any of that for you. To make sure, because that little bit of noise in the system can make the biggest difference at the end of the day. All right, so our calendars, once again, they're on our website, they're on our app, on our UCC calendar. Yes, sir.
So, speaking of marks being destroyed, he asked for marks and flags. Do we still get flags or don't we? How's that?
Well, it really depends on, I guess, the member. And Chris, I'm gonna let you speak to that since you guys, you know, do so much contract locating for members.
So if they ask for
marks and flags, we should do both. Now, there was a period of time, I'm not sure if everybody was aware, but it's hard to get equipment, hard to get supplies in some cases. There was a paint shortage, which we were able to overcome through another vendor, but we still do have some backlog of flags. But that's starting to clear up, unless my team tells me something different.
I think we're pretty much caught up on that.
So if that's the case, you would have to put that information in the remarks field. It's not gonna be a common,
Right.
you know, known thing. I am still hearing though, even at Foothills the other day, there is still a paint issue. And I don't know if it's just with blue. That seems to be an issue I've heard is more of the blue paint being an issue. Yellow, okay, so, I mean, so there is still a paint shortage, and it's not only from the vendors. I mean, I'm hearing, I talked with the operator the other day, and he was marking water, and he said, I've been by every home improvement, every mom and pop home improvement just to find paint. So I'm not gonna tell you that there's probably not gonna be some non-water-based paint out there.
Been hearing about some quality issues with paint too.
Oh, really? Quality, not lasting? Yeah. And then I think, oh, yeah, we were talking about that. Some of the paint, the red turning pink, and what was the other?
Yellow turning white.
Yeah, yellow turning white. So just so y'all know, there's some issues going on out in the field. Just as a reminder, you're required to put the operator identity on there. So I think that's why the flags are really becoming more and more popular. You can put that, you can put that information on the flag. Therefore, you've met the intent, because you know every little bit takes time. If you're having to mark a member's identity, that's what, 3-4 seconds out of your day. So you add all that up, and before you know it, the day's gone, and you've still got another 50 locates left in your bucket, right? So it sounds easy for me to talk about it, but I empathize for all of you folks. We were just talking about that last night. It's a tough time being a locator, so we appreciate all that you do. Just a reminder, this time of the year, we want you to be prepared. The weather's getting kind of crazy. Of course, I feel like summer's been just as crazy. You know, you want to find a safe area, clear out a storm shelter area. I'm fortunate, I have a basement, so I do kind of keep that area for situations like that. Flashlights and batteries. Keep your batteries. You want to make sure that you've got something charged at all times, especially your cell phone, and have food and water. You know, make sure that you kind of have that prepped and downstairs. Pet supplies. Don't forget about your pets. Always have maybe a fan, you know, battery operated fan of some sort, a first aid kit. Always make sure you got your medicines in check, have those available in case, you know, something major happens, important documents, USB flash drive if you want to put them on that, and then have good sturdy shoes, a weather radio. There are some apps that you can download that will also give you updates as well. And then prepare your family. You know, they won't know how to do the drill unless you prepared them. So if you got small kids or, you know, whatever, even your, you know, your husband's wives, make sure they know the drill too. Just like Rania said, where are we going, Rania? Something happens. In the hall, we're going in the hall.
What are you talking about? A hurricane? What?
I'm giving you a hard time. You're fine. Just for all you folks, since this is a state meeting, Tammy is our liaison over in the southwest area. That is Charlotte all the way to Greensboro, and then she goes, I think, to Hickory. And then, of course, I manage those, all the liaisons. Howard, this is his area. I'm sure most of you folks that are from here, you've met Howard. He is a great team member. He's obviously, they both are there to help you. And then we've got, we call Parrish. He's our Piedmont region. He's awesome, Parrish. And Parrish and I tend to kind of handle the mini-X. So if at any time you need to, you know, want to utilize that, we do have a spot on our website to request it, but we typically tend to drive that around. And then Stephen, obviously, he is our face of 811. So, and then, of course, we have our illustrious executive director here, our leader. and we thank him for always having our back. Today's presentation will be posted on the NCUCC website, but once again, we are recording everything, so we'll have that for you as well. All right, any other questions for me? Thank you.
You want to give a locate resolution partnership update as well?
Lewis, go ahead.
Yeah, I can do that. And we talked about some of these things. For those of you who don't know what the LRPC is meant to do, it's kind of meant, it was created to provide a forum for people to get together and talk about issues that were affecting everybody around the state. And obviously we talked about the excessive updates. That's been a prime focus of that group. But we've also looked at other things like what counties have a higher percentage of 3-hour notices. Where are these situations occurring? Is there something that we can do? So that the committee itself looks at data, looks at reports. We have the top 5 ticket receivers that have given us access to their data, and we pull those reports every couple of months and go over those, discuss them. Sometimes we've sent letters out on behalf of the committee to remind people of what the requirements are, that kind of a thing. Again, it's a continual battle. One of the other things that we're doing, that I'm doing, is a couple of the gas companies have provided me lists of damages that have been occurred as a result of no ticket. And I have a letter that I'm sending out under my signature to those individuals, letting and reminding them again of the law, not being punitive, not being other than educational, just to remind them that the law is there. Oh, and by the way, there also is an enforcement, capacity out there. But that's been interesting because I think I've sent out now 120 or so letters. I'm waiting on the next batch to get in, and I have had some phone calls in response to what's this about? Because the person that got the letter maybe was the person in charge of the company. And you would think maybe these were one-offs, these were out of towners, but they're not. A lot of these companies are right here in the state. Maybe they even have created tickets in the past, but for whatever reason, in this case, they didn't. So we're hoping to make a dent in some of those kinds of damages. North Carolina, the national average of damages basically without a ticket runs anywhere between 20 and 25% is what they claim. And from the damage reports that come to us, we have a much lower percentage of those, but I do believe that we can tackle those in multiple fronts. I know that the utilities themselves reach out, that SAM program and all those kinds of things that are out there to try to educate. We just want to supplement that in some way. And the LRPC it's a great opportunity to kind of come in there and bring your concerns if you have them. We've tackled things like excessive, unnecessary emergencies, excessive updates. We've had some case studies that were generated out of companies that did their own internal requirements to limit updates, and they had some success with it. But it's like whack-a-mole. I mean, you constantly you might knock it down over here, but it might pop up over here. So we're just continually trying to get a handle on this. And that meeting is coming up next week on the 20th. It will be at the event center and hybrid as well, if I'm not mistaken. So I encourage folks to come out to that.
Do you see any trends with the white lining, positive or negative?
In terms of the percentage of tickets that are white lined or
Yeah, the use of white lining.
yeah, it runs around, at least what's reported to us, around anywhere between 23 to 25%. But again, that's just word of mouth. That's when we ask the question and then they tell us if they've done it or not. If they don't know what it is, we explain it to them. But actually the boots on the ground locators will tell you that a lot of cases they see a ticket that says it was white lined and it was not. And unfortunately, we don't have any way of tracking that. They would know better what the legitimacy or accuracy of that statement would be from somebody. And don't forget, if they call in the entire property, even if they said it's white lined, it still obligates the locators to do that property. We want to refine it down as much as we can to limit that scope. And but we encourage it. We have a video out there that was generated, I think, through the LRPC, if I'm not mistaken. And again, educates people. There's a white lining video, there's a right of way video to let people understand. A lot of homeowners don't know what a right of way is. Why are these people in my front yard? Well, it's not your front yard technically, but maybe you just need to understand a little bit more about what a right of way is. So those kind of things, when they percolate up and we hear them from multiple places, we do generate some educational videos, try to push those and promote those out there.
Damage tickets still need to be called in, or can they be
No,
done?
you can do those, you can do a damage electronically, yeah. We changed, that was a law change. It originally said it had to be orally reported, but we changed that in that 2019 law change.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned the right of way video.
Mhm.
That's on your website?
It is.
We do a lot of work in the great state of Mecklenburg.
Oh, yeah.
And Duke Power says, to our home builder, they're gonna come in here, they're gonna put the power wherever they want to put it. If you don't like it, we won't put it in there. So if they got you by the short hairs, they got the builder by the short hairs, they put their lines into where they want to put them. And we're doing 5,500 homes a year, and we have to process damn things every time we run a sewer line from the house to the back street. Is this a forum where we can talk about where they put their lines, why they put their lines, where they put them, how deep they put them? We could save hundreds and hundreds of hours a year if we didn't have to process those lines every time.
We actually have a gentleman, I think, Dan, are you on? Do you wanna chat a little bit about that?
I don't know if I can really speak to it too much, but I'll tell you what, if you could, make sure that gentleman has my contact information and reach out to me afterwards, and we can see if we can link you up with the right folks and see if we can't figure out what's what out there.
Are you attending the Mecklenburg UCC meetings? Because your face doesn't look familiar.
This is the first one I've ever been to.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
So we do have a fairly large UCC in Mecklenburg, and they always meet the last Wednesday of the month. Wake is always the last Tuesday of the month. Mecklenburg is the last Wednesday. So yes, I'll get your information and we'll get you some, some contact information and good point.
And
Good
it's a
point.
good place to actually network with all those different folks there, and it's also there, they are doing it virtual too, so if you can't make one physically.
Yes.
But it's much better to go there. Be with all these folks,
Yeah.
so.
So I liken this to, I've been with Price Brothers for a little over 35 years.
Oh, yeah, we know you very well.
So, used to, back in the day, to mark a sewer tap, developers would stand up a 4x4 post. That marks the tap. So we as a contractor had to go to that location and dig the tap. The tap was terminated, who knows how deep, 3 feet, 4 feet, 5 feet. I've seen them so deep that you could put, a house in during hole. We had to dig the ditch so big and so flat to get down there. You talk about, unsafe. We're talking, 30 years ago, of course. But cave-ins and that kind of thing, somebody can, that collapses and 3 feet of dirt in the ditch. So that's where we were back in the day with sewer taps. Now developers are required to raise the taps to grade. There's a North Carolina general statute says it was in place at the time. Developers never adhered to it because again, they had the builder about a short hair. And I think we're at the same place, in some cases, with some of these utilities. They just put them anywhere and everywhere they want to in the property and they leave it up to the trades to dodge it. So, and then that doesn't help the locator service. They're going all over the property trying to find these lines. So I think we can just get to some uniformity where everybody, needs to be. They don't put on the lines in front in the between the tap and the street curve because that way I guess they'd have to cross, all those taps. But if the developer would keep those taps coming off the mains to a certain depth, and then they stay to a certain depth, then everybody's good.
And one of the problems, I understand what you're saying about that, and there are regulations about depth and stuff like that. The problem that we've heard this from multiple people that have asked, why can't we exempt certain depth? In other words, because it's everything's going to be so deep, or 12 inches or more, whatever it is, why can't we just have exemptions for certain activities even like, and the gas company will tell you 100%, and it's absolutely true that the grade cannot be depended on to stay where it is at the depth that was originally placed. I'm not saying that there aren't situations where maybe people lift up a piece of sod and throw a line down, that's different. But I'm saying that there's plenty of other situations, erosion and other things that can change the depth as far as that goes, to maybe make it even higher up than it was originally placed. But now this is probably a forum, I think, reaching out to Dan, but certainly that locate resolution partnership
Yeah.
committee, that would be an item that we would put on the agenda to discuss. Have a large group of people there too for that, as well as excavators.
And from a planning and zoning perspective and engineering, Roger, I know you're on the call. Is there guidelines with Mecklenburg as far as their design for neighborhoods, or
Not,
are y'all familiar with that? Or
not that I'm aware of, Ann.
not that you're aware? Okay. Sorry, guys, we're stretching. No, we'll definitely find some information out for you and get you connected, because I know Price Brothers is at Mecklenburg, it could be it.
One down.
All right. Moving on, do we have any state regulators in today? NC Utilities Commission? Anybody from OSHA? Anybody from the Department of Labor? No. Any updates from electric and power companies? Dan, you have anything? Oh, there it is.
None. Yeah, nothing super specific. I think, everybody can see, Duke is doing a lot of work throughout the state here with a lot of rebuilds and things of that nature. Damages, obviously there's a lot, but it's kind of hard to distinguish, from all the other kind of damages that we get, right, from like vehicles and things like that, storms, things like that. So, best I kind of could. We've had about 230 damages across the state, for underground type, dig-ins and things. So, busy out there with damages and things. So yeah, and I know Ann and Lewis talk about the LRPC, so appreciate that, and definitely encourage folks to come out for that part. With the LRPC stuff, it is a partnership, right? So we're trying to work together. We're all in the same boat. So I know for us, for Duke, we're continually trying to figure out better ways and to educate folks on, reducing that number of update tickets, and to educate the contractors and internal folks to, get that, improve that ticket quality, if you will. Like the poll tickets, I know are a pain point for a lot of folks and stuff. So we are regularly working on getting that improved. So other than that, that's all I got. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. Any other updates for electric and power companies before moving on?
I hear no. Lewis, do you want to do a CGA update?
Yeah, real quick, I mentioned earlier about the DIRT report will be coming out in October. There are meetings of the committees. The Common Ground Alliance has a bunch of different committees that will be meeting, and they meet basically quarterly. They'll be in San Antonio in next month. If you're not familiar with Common Ground Alliance, you know, I definitely encourage you to go to their website and get onto their list, because it's interesting. They do give a alert, which I have on my phone right now. It just came today. They give you stories, but they also talk about things that's going on within the CGA. So for example, they have a case study from Crown Castle that talks about improving damage prevention through leadership-driven interventions. So top-down interventions to try to make improvements on the process. I want to believe that there's a lot of these kinds of case studies out there, like what happened with Amasa and those success stories of the 30-mile gas project that was done successfully with no damages. Those are the positive stories, and I know money drives so many different things, but believe it or not, if you can show that you can do these things effectively and efficiently and still come in under budget and ahead of schedule by following safety protocols and doing the process correctly, sharing information, then, you know, I think those are the stories that need to be put out there and really told. And so I encourage people to go to the CGA and check out that one case study, explore around there. There's a lot of information at their website on damages nationally, and you can go drill into your state, do everything else. So that would be my report. There's best practices produced there as well.
One of the things being discussed for the best practices is making a mark on the ground where you lose signal, where you can't locate the facility any further. Let's say you can locate 2/3 of the locate ticket, but then you lost your signal. We're trying to figure out how to mark the fact that that's the point it's good till, and then you need to discuss the rest of it. We don't want our guys just putting paint on the ground because they believe it continues straight forward. We also need to let that contractor, the excavator, know that there are some concerns there. And hopefully we'll have something for.
Lots of people put EOI as end of information.
Okay.
There, you see that EOI.
And unfortunately, with Dominion Energy, we have a few different procedures. And hopefully we'll narrow that one down a little bit.
I think that communication is really critical, just like putting down the ID operators, which the law requires for every facility to make distinguishing marks. I think there's a frustration level that occurs within the excavation community. If something like that, they're presented with EOI, why was it look, what's that, what does that do for them? Does that mean they're supposed to expose everything from there forward? Is there going to be somebody that's going to come out and expose it for them? What's going to occur, you know?
It causes communication.
That's absolutely.
That's the
If nothing else, it's letting you know something.
So Chase, I'm just gonna quickly share, this came out of the education committee with CGA. Sorry, let me share this with everyone. So that call811.com/excavator, you can go to that location and download that video. And if you can't find it, let me know. We'll provide it to you. You're certainly welcome to use it in your training. The other item that our committee is working on is another video. We've created a script for the member themselves. So just reminding the member, the type of information that they need, the mapping, so on, so forth. So a lot of good stuff coming out of that CGA education meeting.
Thank you. Thank you. Moving on, do we have anyone from engineering and design that would like to give a report? Any equipment manufacturers that would like to give a report? Go ahead.
Unless you've been living under a rock the last 2 years, the word supply chain will probably no surprise. Yeah, there's shortages of everything. So if you are a facility owner and you know that you have projects coming up, or if you're a contractor that's needing equipment, so the lead time's not, hey, I'll have one in a couple of weeks. It's what quarter of next year would you like it? Right now, certain models of drills, certain models of trenchers, certain models of vibratory plows, we're sold out through second quarter of next year already. The factory has us on allocation, which means it doesn't matter how many we order, they tell us how many we're going to get. So my suggestion is, if you even think you're going to need something for a project next year, tell us now. Let's get you on the list. Don't worry about if you actually need it when it comes, if something changes, because if for some reason, and I don't mean this disrespectfully at all, but if the time comes and your machine shows up and you change your mind and you don't need it, it's okay. We'll call the guy behind it because he's waiting to. So just give us as much heads up as you can, and we will do everything we can to provide the equipment you need. I've never seen it like this in my 17 years in the business, but it's reality. So the sooner we know, the sooner we can tell you a roundabout time when your equipment will show up. Y'all want any more good news?
Feel on the same page.
Hey, we got locked into
We built
the equipment manufacturer's wallet number 8. Or contractor on anything. I sent you a PDF. Share.
Yeah, that's reasonable.
So guys, my name's Dave McCoy. I'm a operations manager for Directional Services Incorporated out of Fayetteville, North Carolina. We are a renewable energy contractor. We do a little bit of everything. And recently we've been utilizing soft digging techniques and hydro excavation. And after talking with Howard and Parrish, we were kind of encouraged to kind of share our story and what we're doing to help eliminate damages to utilities. So we're going to kind of spotlight a natural gas. I'm going to kind of spotlight a Piedmont natural gas project for Fort Bragg, North Carolina. We're working on. We're partnering with Pipeview Technologies here in the Wilmington area, who's handling our CCTV inspections. So essentially, you had 150 miles of natural gas pipeline that needs to be replaced. That is unlocatable. It's leaking. It's not tested. You're working in an area that 811 is not a member. Okay, the Department of Public Works. So a lot of utility congestion. A lot of different types of utilities that were put in by different manufacturers over 40, 50, 60 years in some places. So how are we going about progressing and working on this project? Is soft digging techniques. So anybody here got a guess of how long hydro excavation's been around? First off, who knows what soft digging is? No, you two do. All right, soft digging is utilizing basically a vacuum and some source of pressure, whether it be water or air, to dig. Essentially, you're taking a pressure washer, squirting it in the ground, and you're sucking it up with a big vacuum, okay? For lack of a better word. Anybody got to guess how long it's been around? You should know.
30 years.
1850, apparently. In 1850, gold miners were using it on the west coast to mine for gold. That's where it comes. In 1969, a company called Vactor, who is still a manufacturer to this day, created a unit called the Excavator. Okay, it was if you look it up on Google, there's all kinds of pictures of this monstrosity, but basically it was a vacuum with a pressure washer on it. Okay. So had a vacuum about 150 cubic feet per minute, moved about that much air. In the 1970s and 80s, they kind of evolved to more of a septic tank truck, a gigantic vacuum with a pressure washer. It allowed it to be PTO driven and essentially allowed them to put bigger pumps on there where they were getting up to around 300 CFM. And then in the 90s, due to the big boom of HDD, directional drilling, and companies like Vactron, Ditch Witch were providing pressure washers on these pull behind vacs that you'd see on these drill crews. They found out that they could use a pressure washer to dig and use a vacuum to suck it up. Wouldn't have to dig with shovels, you know. They were running around 300 to 1,000 CFM. Today's units, as you see here, are around 500 horsepower. They're moving air at 5,000 plus CFM. Big difference. So basically what we wanted to discuss was, the benefits of hydro excavation, how it could help us as contractors, utility owners. Number one, it's the safest way to dig. Okay. You're able to cross utilities without, worried about damage. You're able to dig in areas where you're not sure where the utilities are. Cost benefits for hydro excavation. Number one, damages to utilities. I mean, spend a lot of money fighting claims and training guys and attendance pipe plus meetings and things of that nature. This helps alleviate some of that. When we started the Fort Bragg project, the mindset of using soft digging was to use it as a backing or a support to our typical excavation or directional drilling or however we would normally install. But we found that you couldn't find the utilities, namely in the residential like housing areas. Gas services with no tracer wire, gas services with no ditch tape, gas services with no GIS or mapping, water and sewer. Over here they did a single manifold where the sewer come out and then it went into one, and over here they got one for every house. It's just, no rhyme or reason. There's no right of way. So if the guy decided that he just wanted to go straight to the manhole from over here, you don't have to worry about being on public property or, off right of way. So they would just do it however they work best for them. So we were having a hard time getting our service replacements going, and decided as kind of a last resort to just revert back to just strictly slot trenching, which is basically digging with the soft digging truck. Okay. After about, 6 or 8 weeks of that, we found out that we're actually faster digging with the vacuum truck than we were digging with mechanical means. Faster putting in pipe, installing the pipe, getting the pipe gassed up, getting it backfilled, and getting out of there. We're doing it faster than we were with the trencher. And it surprises me to this day, but it's a true story. I mean, we're actually getting these utilities in faster with a vacuum machine than we would be with a trencher. Why? One, we're not looking for the utilities for 5 hours. Okay. You get to the project, set the crew up, get traffic control up, do their pre-job briefing. And instead of them looking to try and find the unlocatable gas facility or water or sewer, they can just take off and start going. You start the hydro excavator and just go in the direction that you need to go to. When you cross something, you identify it, go under or over, get your proper separation, and keep on going. So by the time we would get done looking for utilities, we're already halfway done. The disadvantages to soft digging or hydro excavating: one, if they're using water to dig, you're constantly having to find a source of water. Okay, if the truck runs out of water, the truck's got to stop. Got to go get more water, come back. Two, with hydro excavation, you're sucking up water and sand and essentially making mud. Okay. With the newer technologies and guys, I got to tell you, they're getting really good at this stuff. They're starting to figure these problems out. This truck that we have out here today for y'all to look at is it separates the water from the sand. So you suck up mud, it discharges the water and produces the sand back for you to reuse. It's still a little moist. It's not perfect yet, but I assure you, give it 5 or 10 more years, they'll have that all figured out. The other thing about hydro excavating is as you were digging out, you're having to find dry compacted soil to put back in there. Well, if you can reuse the soil that's on the truck, that fixes that problem. Okay. And the last, there's actually a slide right before that one. Down. There you go. Air excavation. Got a wet, soily, a wet area like in New Hanover County, Pender County, anywhere around the water. You can utilize air. They've set these trucks up now where you can utilize air. You're not constantly having to go for water. You're not worried about contaminating the area. If you're digging around something, let's just say you're digging in front of an old gas station from the 50s or 60s and they start smelling diesel, what's the last thing you want to be doing? Spraying water in it. Air excavation allows you to continue excavating without polluting, the environment. You don't have to, keep looking for water. So air excavation is great for us. Same thing there too. The soil you're taking out, you can turn around and put right back in. It's dry, turn around, take that sand that you just took out. Once you find that the utility, put the sand back in there, tamp it, and move on about your work. Remote digging. Some of these smaller units. So that HV33, we have a unit that's a little smaller than that, that allows us to get into some of these really tight spots. Let's just say you're working in a backyard, and there's just no way to get excavation equipment in there. You can utilize these trucks with extensions to get back in these tight spots. Any questions?
Are there concerns about the amount of pressure and what the impact that is to the utilities that you uncover? For example, fiber can only take 1,500, PSI run around 3,000, coating on gas lines, training of people to use this equipment. I mean, what are some of the other variables involved with hydro and air excavation?
Yeah.
It's called air knives.
Yeah.
Actually.
Correct.
So I'm just curious about some of those safety factors.
So two things there. Number one, it's going to come to an operator, an operator being able to identify that the equipment's working properly, not working properly. Two, they're manufacturing different tips, I guess you could say, so that it's not directing, all the pressure to one specific area. That's more of a maintenance thing. They're having to change those tips out to make sure that it's not pinpointing, directing all that pressure into one small part, which would obviously, 3,000 pounds in a tiny stream would cut anything, utilities, or whatever.
So do you see that at all happening when you're using it? Yes, sir.
Good.
Just to add on to that, just rough numbers, because we run about 12 to 1,500 PSI in our trucks. And again, it's the operator is why our training is about 90 days before somebody actually gets in the truck. But just quick math, in North Carolina alone, we have probably done over 7,000 excavations this year with 0 damages.
Yeah, the numbers don't lie. I mean, and it's just like, again, me coming from natural gas background, I got into a directional drilling. That was my first, entrance into utilities when I got out of the military. I worked on a directional drilling crew. You would not believe the technologies and the advancements that's coming with this, I guess, line of work, for lack of a better words. They're figuring out those problems and they're making it faster and better. Week after week and month after month, you'll have another manufacturer that has something better than this. And, they're seeing, number one, utility congestion. I mean, we're putting more in, we're not taking it out, we're just adding more. Directional drilling kind of was that latest and greatest, you know, you were able to basically go around, go under, or go over the existing utilities. And this is going to allow you to go through. You know, so.
You can take any one of those boards on the back of those computers and with the right nozzle, which most everybody uses, you can go over it and not pay attention at all.
Correct.
What's the cost per foot versus some of these other, I mean, the reason I'm asking is, can you get a case study together that shows a project? And again, it just goes back to the cost of things. A case study that shows the cost benefit, obviously the risk saving, if you're not cutting any damage and you're having to pay for those replacements. But has there been those kinds of costs? You said the numbers don't lie. Are there those kinds of breakdowns that show a cost of this type of process per 1,000 feet versus?
Understood. So one of my duties as the operations manager for DSI is to cost estimate, price estimate for utilities, whether it be power, gas, water, sewer, whatever it is that we're doing. So we are gathering information. But you know, it is, and Ryan can testify to this. We're doing service trenches. We're doing, you know, several hundred feet a day.
We utilize them, just digging a slot trench, digging back to run the service.
Yeah, I mean,
Run on utilities in the area.
yeah, and it's really, you know, Ricky Jones is one of our head operators. I mean, he knows everything there is to know about that truck. Really has a lot to do with one, equipment, two, the guys that run them. You get Joe Blow that worked for Pepsi Cola that run a truck, probably not your guy. You know, somebody that comes from utilities background and knows what the end result is supposed to be, and somebody that knows how to maintain the equipment. The equipment is expensive. I mean, these guys can testify to that. It is expensive. But if you can guarantee that you're going to send your guys out there, install a utility, make the customer happy, not damage anything or get anybody hurt, that's the goal, right? So,
Can I add one thing? real
Yeah,
quick?
absolutely.
Going back to the tension like fiber, you can't handle so much pressure. These days, a lot of your manufacturers are building in the ability to adjust the pressure on the water. So just because it'll do 3,000 PSI, doesn't mean you always have to do it. You can, I mean, even on ours, we've got big trucks well up to 16 yard, but on a lot of our trailer units, that a lot of contractors use for their own personal use, there's a knob on the back there, just dial it down. They dial it up, dial it down. It's right there where
Tracer wire and things like that.
yeah, I mean, it's right there where the reel is. It's got a dial. You just look, hey, I'm getting ready to go for fiber. I need to turn this thing down. You sit there and turn it down. It's easily adjusted.
and I know I'm going over my 5 or 10 minutes, but you know, just wanted to alert everybody to things that are coming, things that are available, the new norm that's coming from contractors and utilities. We wanted to do what you typically don't see at UCC meetings. We wanted to bring that equipment for y'all to look at. It is parked in the back parking lot. After this is all wrapped up, we'd love to show it to you. Any questions on hydro excavating, soft digging, or closed circuit TV camera inspection? Sorry about that. Yeah. If anybody has any questions on CCTV, post inspection for sewer inspections or whatever, please get with Randy. Thank you.
Hey Chase, before we move on to the next one, Roger wanted to kind of jump on and talk a little bit about the Department of Labor, about the heat illness standard. So Roger, if you're good.
Thank you, Ann. Chase, I appreciate the opportunity, buddy. Just to let everybody know, the Fed OSHA come out with that heat illness standard a few months ago. North Carolina did not adopt that from the Fed OSHA. What North Carolina Department of Labor has asked as far as with the CGA, Carolina's AGC, I'm sorry. The Safety Committee, Commissioner Dobson was at that meeting and actually asked us to put a subcommittee together to write recommendations for the standard for North Carolina from the construction side. They also asked the manufacturing side to do the same thing. As Commissioner Dobson said, he's wanting to give us a seat at the table on this standard And the subcommittee has put what I feel like is a real good proposal together. We will discuss it at the next AGC Safety Committee meeting on the 22nd of this month. Then that document will be turned over to OSHA or NCDOL by October the 5th for them to review it, and hopefully they will take our recommendations on the document that we put together for them to put into the standard that will benefit everyone in the construction. For those that did read the Fed OSHA, you know, anything over 80 degrees, they want you to put a policy in place. We've sort of rewritten that part of it a little bit, hoping again that NCDOL will accept what we have put in. Also on the OSHA side, anyone that's familiar with them, Kevin Beauregard, that was the deputy commissioner and was the director of OSHA for North Carolina, is retiring as of October 1st. Jennifer Haywood will be taking Kevin's place. Jennifer was the director of communications for NCDOL, which now she will be the deputy commissioner and the director of OSHA for North Carolina. And ones that know Paul Sullivan out of the Charlotte OSHA office, he was the Western Bureau chief for OSHA. He will move up to the assistant director of OSHA, and Lee Peacock out of the Charlotte office was promoted up to Western Bureau chief. Scott Mabry with OSHA, he was the assistant director, is now moving up to the chief of staff. And that's just some things that's going on through NCDOL and through North Carolina OSHA also. Hopefully after the advisory committee meeting on November the 3rd, maybe I can give y'all a report back on whether North Carolina took into consideration of our document that we sent in for that heat illness standard. That's all I have, Chase, unless anyone has any questions.
Do I have any questions for Richard? Roger Richard. Richard. All right, buddy. Hey, thank you so much for adding that in. Appreciate it.
Thank
you. Anybody else from equipment manufacturers that has an update before we move on? Any excavators or contractors that would like to give an update?
Still making mud.
Still making mud.
Come on, Tim. Give us a.
Ansco, as far as, we're so busy across the state of, North Carolina there, and, really, got a 5 rotor build project that's, got a lot of tickets called in over that project, but if y'all need anything, just holler.
Anyone from insurance that would like to give a report? Any reports from locator or locate companies?
This is Robert. Good afternoon, everyone. I think Chris Russ may have stepped out just timely. Let's see. We're I think Tracy Cribbs also on here representing the coastal southern markets, but in the triangle market out towards the coast, down towards to some of our southern markets, we're busy. I think primarily we're trying to distinguish what is BAU on a fiber bill versus what's FCC auction 904, aka RDOF, right? The Rural Digital Opportunity Fund. So we have work going on all across our markets. What we're seeing is that I think primarily some of that RDOF work is expanding into some of our rural counties, Lee County, Chatham County, Johnson County, and a slew of other counties where we got more fiber overbuilds going than we have ever seen, and probably I've seen in the last 20 years. I think we have another ATMC just recently announced that they're going from Duplin all the way into Virginia. So, you know, a lot of work going on, very unprecedented amount of work. Kind of touching on what Lewis said on top of the call. You know, it's hard pressed to receive, you know, 200 tickets, every ticket 1,320 feet, and be demanded that it gets marked in 72 hours. It takes a lot of coordination, a lot of partnership, a lot of communication. And, you know, ticket kind of becomes a formality. It's a long-term relationship that we need to continue to build. You know, the technology is starting to kind of, in my opinion, exceeding in terms of the digging technology versus locating technology, right? So, you know, we're doing our very best to trying to get staff, trying to get the people in place. I think just in the Triangle market, we're looking to hire 90 additional technicians to cover some of those counties that I just mentioned. So that being said, you know, again, just more of the same, a heck of a lot more than what we used to face as it relates to especially that RDOF work. But other than that, I'd be happy to answer any questions anybody may have about the locating side.
Any questions for Rob?
All right, let's see. Hey, Tracy, are you on? All right, I don't think Tracy's on. Same thing for the Fayetteville market out towards Lumberton, Laurinburg, Duplin, Brunswick, down towards Wilmington. We're looking at the same stuff. So other than that, that's all I have to report.
Appreciate it, buddy. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other locator locate companies before we move on? Any gas companies or gas pipeline companies with the update?
Just trying to keep up with construction. Like everybody else, it's a good year to not have 2 hurricanes hit the coast. Because we've gotten permission to not do our scheduled sample testing because of we ain't a meter for testing. We need to have a meter to put back, and we might not necessarily have that extra meter to put back. So part of that deal, we are running a gas line around to the sewer waste treatment plant in Wake County for RNG. I don't know where that construction sits at this time, but I do know that we've got lines going that direction. We have no big pipe replacement programs right now. We will probably have 2024 in Henderson County, be only about 30 miles. And we might start another one a couple years after that'll be about 1,000 miles across the state. We are high density like plastic, so it'll be more older pipe. But other than trying to keep up, everything's going okay. Damages we're under last year. August wasn't a good month, wasn't a pretty month for us, but it's looking like a pretty good year.
Any other update?
Hey, good morning. This is Jim Collins with Piedmont Natural Gas. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, good. For us, monthly tickets between July and August, we were up about 15%. Had about 10,000 more tickets in August than we did in July. Damages, unfortunately, those were also up about 16% more damages. So kind of tracking with the monthly tickets. And our top 3 root causes continue to be no call damages, about 29%. Digging in the tolerance zone, 27%. And locator damages, 24%. So that makes up, those 3 make about 80% of our damages. And Lewis, we're working on our next list. I know Joel has started on it to get the letters out to the no call damages that we've had. So we'll get that to you soon.
Thanks, Jim.
Yep. And that's all I had.
Appreciate it.
Who do you get that list from? I mean, hope it's me.
No. Yeah, it's not the reports.
Trevor or
See the Trevor or somebody else. It wasn't, didn't come to me last.
yeah, I mean, I've got all the data. I just don't remember sending it. So
Feel free to send it. I'll call out the due lists.
Did it come from Scott Swindler?
no, I don't think Scott was it through Corey.
Corey.
Yeah, right.
Washington.
Yeah, moving on, do we have anyone from oil or oil pipeline companies? Yeah, I think it's oil. Like in private water. Any reports from public works or municipality? Good. Okay.
What about you, Chase?
We're Kings Mountain, we're wide open. I'll share a little bit. I shared in our Foothills UCC meeting. If you're working in Kings Mountain, we ask that you just be patient with us. Our energy services director that was there for 36 years, just recently retired. And, so we've got some people trying to step in and fill those shoes. And, gas department, our superintendent is retiring after 20-something years. And, so it's a tough time. Times are changing. And, we're trying to get used to a new norm with that situation. But, if you're working in or near Kings Mountain, come by and say, hey, and, we'll talk to you. Any other reports from the public works from this municipality? Any reports from railroad? Any reports from cable TV or TV telecommunication companies?
A couple of things. The women, formerly essentially, we're gonna, sorry. The transition for Brightspeed, which was centrally local, mass market size of Lumen, was scheduled for October 1st. They've been pushed that to October 3rd. So that 811 will be open. I think that's Monday. So that they can have 811 support for tickets. I'm aware of some issues. Overall, Stake Center is our contract locate company in Raleigh, Greensboro. We handle it internally here in this market. Worry about it every year. We have issues in Raleigh market with them closing tickets incorrectly. We're aware of that. We're working to work with their upper management so that they close correctly. Reports of damages. Just to emphasize the reports of damages. If we have a fiber cut, we got to go through a whole process, OTDRs, to find distances to figure out where that fiber was cut at. One of the first things that we will do is go look for reports of damage just to see if someone said, hey, we cut a fiber right here. And that significantly increases our restoration time to restore the fiber. And we have a lot of government fiber, so it's very important to find out where that damage is as quickly as possible. But I know a lot of contractors, they see rainbow roots and they just want to bury it. I mean, we're gonna find it. It's better if you just let us know whenever you're ready.
Right. Never heard of it.
Next thing, updates. I know internally we have 3 locators in-house. We have a update policy internally where we don't respond to update tickets with fresh marks. And it's cut our tickets by, I think it's 39%, what we've seen. We ask persuaders to call the straight marks tickets in if they need remarks done on the jobs that we do internally. But we send emails out to those contractors telling them that we're not going to respond to those update tickets. It's been in place for about 2 years now, and we've had no damages as a result of that. Now, I know our contractors, Stake Center, they do go out and mark all the updates.
I do have a question. When will we be able to get grants? We do have the grant, but we don't have one that can hold that.
I know Stake Center uses T-Core. It's just the T-Core system can't handle all the information. So you guys should be switching over to Utilosphere in the next couple of months. And when you get that, you guys will be able to show all your assets. AMZ files. I'd have to reach out to Cable Protection and see. I think I have some that I sent to Aaron and Cynthia that have handle applications. I'll give your information.
I do that for all the.
I'll tell you too that, Andrea has contacted us about a series of tickets that were exceeding the distance. That was impacting those ability to locate. Basically, they were exceeding a 40-mile situation, and there was one user, we pinned it down to this one person that was exceeding, and it's an RTE user, so they've already been intercepted, essentially, So folks understand that 75% number of tickets being created online. If when we audit roughly 40% of all the tickets. So when those people are discovered, we go back and intercede. We do want people to adhere to the size requirements.
Any other telecommunication updates before we move on? Doug is not on this.
No, they're saying they lost the audio. Can y'all hear me now?
Yeah,
Roger,
I
can you
can now,
hear?
Ann.
You can? Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
It
it
might
did.
have been that they were just speaking a little lower. Okay.
Any reports from emergency services? Any local UCCs that would like to give a report?
From Onslow County. Johnson, Onslow County, our ticket volume's up. We've got big projects going through with the gas company. We've got two big overlays with the cable. And one of the biggest problems that we're having right now is we've got contractors that are calling in 3-hour tickets. Saying that their people are on site. They're not on site. They're just calling to make sure that the tickets are that it's marked because they're gonna start work tomorrow. So we kind of get on them people pretty hard with it and try to resolve it in the field. But this is a situation that we're running into quite often now. So that's what I got.
Any other local UCCs that would like to give a report?
Roger, do you want to speak on that?
If I can unmute, I'm gonna say we're like Onslow County. We are very busy. And I know with the short staff of everybody, including locators and construction and everything else, everybody's doing what they can to get by. One of the issues that we just ran into is updating of facility maps. We spent 3 days looking for a transmission line for a phone company to come to find out that they had spliced it and ran it in the same conduit as the other one. So we had 3 days of basically loss of production trying to find a line where they didn't update their maps. So that's a little headache there, but we're thousand tickets a month. So yeah, we're surviving. And again, for the guy that did ask, yes, our meeting is at the last Wednesday of every month. So please come to it and we'll help you any way we can.
It's gonna be the 28th this month.
All right, our next meeting will be November the 8th, 2022. Again, we'll send out where that location will be through constant contact. But if you can make it, please come. If not, then
Do you want to ask any of the other folks online? If they have anything?
Oh, does anyone else have anything report wise? I apologize.
Carl, do you have anything? City of Charlotte?
Hey, Ann, hey, everybody. Right offhand, I don't have anything, anything new. I mentioned this in the board meeting about the lead and copper rule. And I know other municipalities are facing that and the vacuum excavation that the young man shared, I forget his name. I didn't get a chance to catch it. But that vacuum excavation, that technology that'll come in handy as municipalities have to pothole and things like that behind the meter to make sure that we're locating and finding out what type of material these service lines are. So, but other than that, I don't have anything. Thank you.
City of Lexington.
Justin, do you have an update for us? Anyone else before we close out the meeting? I'd like to thank Piedmont Natural Gas for hosting today. Thanks, Ronnie, for allowing us to use y'all's facility.